This meeting did not work out at all as expected, but it definitely worked out as God planned it. Sit down and buckle up. This is awesome. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Justin. I am a son, a child of an all-powerful and all-loving God and a recovering addict. I'm blessed to be the host of the Reco12 podcast, the Reco12 family of recovery resources. And it's a huge blessing in my life. As you can see, my guest speaker has not yet arrived, and I'm continuing to look for any information that he may have sent, but has not sent anything at this point. So what we can do in the meantime is I'm going to share a little bit about Reco12. If this is your first time here in a Reco12 speaker meeting, I've got 24 of you here so far, and that's awesome to have you in the live audience. If you've never been in a Reco12 meeting before, we typically have a speaker who comes on and speaks for about 20 to 25 minutes on the recovery topic of their choice. And then we, the live audience, get the opportunity to ask questions, moderated questions of that person through the Q&A link at the bottom of the window. Right now, since we don't have a guest speaker, what I'd like to do here is I'll read through a little bit of this intro. I'll read a little bit of information about Reco12, and then maybe we can have an open Q&A, or maybe if there's someone in this live audience who has some experience, strength, and hope that they'd like to share on and maybe take some questions on, shoot me a direct message in the chat and I can promote you to panelist if you're ready to do that. I know this is like, woohoo, last minute, but if God is moving on you, if your higher power is saying, hey, let's do this, let me know and we can make that happen. But I'm going to go in and start reading this intro so you have a little bit of information about what we do here. Reco12 is an organization with the mission of learning and sharing the similarities of addiction of all kinds and gaining and sharing tools and hope from others who are walking a similar path. We come together from all places, faiths, and backgrounds to gain tools and hope from others who are walking this path. Speakers from our past meetings have represented many fellowships, addictions, and afflictions. We are open meeting here. We aren't just an AA or a OA or whatever meeting. We are an anonymous meeting. All of us suffer from addictions of all kinds that are treated and whose solution is the same. All right. The Reco12 family of recovery resources continues to grow and have more resources for the addict and the loved ones of those addicted. If you've not listened to any of our other Reco12 podcasts, including Reco12 Shares, Reco12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M, or the Reco12 Big Book Roundtable podcasts, I highly recommend you go check them out wherever you listen to podcasts. The links to these podcasts are in the show notes of the podcast, any of the podcasts, as well as I'll be putting them in the chat of this live meeting here as we go along. And I'm super excited about all of these resources, and there's more to come. There's more to come. Now, your donations and subscriptions are making this all possible, as there are costs to build and maintain all of them. On that note, Reco12 is a self-supporting service. We appreciate your help in keeping us working our 12th step in this manner. And I want to thank a few of our spearheads and donors. Thank you to Cameron, Tyler, Deborah, and Tonjala for your donations. If you out there in the live audience and the listening audience would like to become a spearhead and support Reco12 and our mission, please consider going to www.reco12.com/support and making either a one-time donation or become a monthly spearhead donor and help us move this mission along. We look forward each meeting to receiving from the light reflected from our speakers, and that light inspires hope, meaning, worth, and growth in us, the listening audience. Now, as it's apparent to you who are here live, and let me scroll through this attendee list to see if he maybe came in as an attendee. No, our scheduled speaker is not here this morning. I hope he's doing all right and things are going okay for him. I'm going to check email one more time, make sure anything came in or didn't come in. Nope. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to proceed from here. What I'd like to do is have kind of an open Q&A, but also if any of you in the live audience has a recovery topic that you'd be willing to share for even a few minutes, it doesn't need to be 20 minutes. It can be a few minutes, and just share your experience, strength, and hope. Let me know. You can either raise your hand there and I can promote you to a panelist, or type it in the chat and we can do that. But also, and I'll get us started. I'll get us started with a share. I haven't thought much about this, but here we go. I'm Justin. I am an addict. I'm a recovering addict living in the miracle of recovery. My date of sobriety is June 19th of 2015 in my primary fellowship, which is an S fellowship. And man, what a miracle it is to walk this path of recovery. One of the things that's been on my mind a lot over the last, this year, this calendar year, and I've shared a little bit about it in several different places. So maybe this is a little bit of a repeat, but it's step 3. It's the idea that step 3 is a decision. It's not a goal. It's not a wish. It's not a resolution. It's a decision. And that making that decision makes all the difference in my life. One of the first sections of words that comes to my mind and to my mouth every morning is the 3rd step prayer. And to me, that 3rd step prayer is more than just words. And, but it's only become that this year. Let me take that back. There have been several times instances where the step 3 prayer was very meaningful throughout the 10 years in the rooms that I've experienced. But the reality or the power of that prayer really hit me this year on January 1st, actually, of this year. I was in a workshop and someone shared their experience about the step 3 prayer and talked about it being a decision. And as I took that prayer, I recognized there was one word that really jumped out at me as I said that prayer. And I've said it 1,000 times before that, and 1,000 times since that. I'm just rounding and generalizing with numbers, but the word that really hit me then and has made all the difference in the world was the word those. I should have the prayer here. I'm just gonna say the prayer from the beginning, and I'll get to that word here. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. So here I'm talking to God, and it's all about me. I offer myself, me, to God to do with me and build with me as God will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, me, self. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those. And that's where the word really hit me. To those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. The first 2 steps, step 1 is all about me admitting that I'm powerless, that my life is unmanageable. Step 2 is all about saying, I can't do this. I can't, but there has to be something out there that can. And that's where God is, me, God. Step 3, I always thought was about me, giving my life and my will over to God. But it very quickly shifts to those. It shifts to others. I no longer can be the focus of my own life. I can't be the center of my own life. If I'm the center of my own life, my life is miserable. I've got a quote here on the wall. It's actually a paraphrase on the wall from somebody that I heard once. Thinking about myself and being miserable are both the same thing. If my life is all about myself, if all I'm thinking about is how does this affect me, I'm miserable. But if my focus is on how I can take what I gather from God, from my higher power, not to benefit my life, but to share it with others, with those I would help, of God's power, God's love, and God's way of life, that misery quickly changes to, I don't want to say happiness. I think it's more joy. It's more lasting, because happiness is fleeting. It's up and down. It spikes high. It's low. It's something that really, to me, isn't super meaningful, but it brings meaning. It brings joy. It brings something that means a lot more than just the fleeting moment of, I don't know, the thrill, the happiness, the rush that comes from that. Life is more than just a roller coaster. Now, I love the roller coaster parts of life. I love the thrill, putting my hands in the air because it's more fun. I love the excitement. And honestly, that's what I saw in addiction was, I need to get this next. If I'm not feeling the excitement, if I'm not feeling the rush, life sucks. It's boring. And that's all I sought. Well, now, yeah, I still love the rush of life, but that rush is way different. It seems to have more meaning. It seems to have more weight. It seems to have more depth. So yes, a feeling of peace. Thank you, Angie, for putting that in there. Yeah. joy and peace, I think, are synonymous. I can feel overjoyed and rejoice and have lots of stuff, but really at the core of that is a peace that everything's all right. Everything's all right. I can accept things for what they are. In fact, hang on just a sec. I'm really embarrassed that my big book is over on the shelf, but I'm going to go grab it. I'll be right back. I always have my big book here at my desk, but today, along with other wrenches in the works, I didn't bring my big book over to my desk. I want to go back to pages about 417 through 420-ish in the big book. And this is in the story called Acceptance Was the Answer. And honestly, the acceptance here is what our speaker was going to be speaking on, was acceptance. So I'm going to jump in here and read just a little bit. Once again, the core of my share right now is that it's not all about me. It's about what I can do for those, for others, for, the man out there that's still sick and suffering. And I'll start at the page, topish of page 417. When I stopped living in the problem is me, the problem is self, the problem is me being selfish, self-centered. That we think is the root of all our problems: selfishness, self-centeredness. So when I stopped living in the problem and began living in the answer, and the answer is being of maximum service to God and my fellows, the problem went away. From that moment on, I have not had a single compulsion to drink, is this person's thing, as I focus on what I can bring into the world and not what I can get out of the world. The compulsion to act out, to drink, to use, to gamble, to whatever it is, can be taken away. And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact in my life unacceptable to me. It's me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. And until I could accept my addiction and embrace it, I'm an addict. When I first came into the rooms, I was ashamed. It took me several times in the rooms as we went around the room to introduce ourselves. I'd say, "Hey, I'm Justin." Pass, and it was kind of cranky and very bitter about being in the rooms. But the first time I said, "Hey, I'm Justin, and I think I just might be an addict," and the next time around, and I'm a big fat liar, these weights came off my shoulders like nothing else. But until I could accept my addiction, I could not stay sober. Until I say, you know what, I'm an addict. I'm going to embrace it. Not the fact that I love being an addict, but the fact that I love that there is a solution to my addiction. And that solution for me is my higher power. And that's something that acceptance of that has brought me a lot of peace in my life. With this acceptance, I think I want to go a little bit further in here. A little bit further down the page on page 417, we are all children of God and we have a right to be here. When I complain about me or about you, or when I complain that this meeting did not go as I planned, this meeting, my guest speaker was unable to join us for some reason. When I accept the fact that things are exactly as they should be, unless I accept my life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need not to concentrate so much on what needs to be changed in me and in my changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. Guys, I'm scared to death right now. I'm like going, what am I doing? And here I am, almost 10 minutes in and feeling a bit of peace. Acceptance is what I'm feeling. Thank you for being here and for walking with me through this. But when I'm complaining about me or you or the fact that things didn't work out how I want, I'm complaining about God's handiwork. I'm saying that I know better than God. I don't know better than God. I've proven that to myself all my life. So as we go into this, and I want to remind our live audience here, if you have questions for me about this, or if you would like to jump in and share, feel free to let me know and we'll get there. But I'm going to go a little bit further in this same story. I'm going to jump over to page 419. Sometimes, and I'm just going to use this meeting today. I think this is perfect. This is perfect. Thank you, God. On page 419 of the big book, leading into this, we're talking about not accepting things and acceptance being the answer, accepting things as they are, not as I think they should be, allowing God to be the director and me to be the bit player in the play, or even the guy who pushes the broom. But I can do the same thing with an AA meeting. I can complain about it. I can try and control it. I can say it's not good enough. I can do the same thing about a Reco12 meeting. This isn't exactly how I planned. I feel uncomfortable with it, and I don't want to put this out as a podcast now, but I can do the same thing in this meeting. The more I focus my mind on its defects, the late start, the person not being able to be here, me not being prepared to step in and fill in and having to go with what's here, the more I focus my mind on the defects, the late start, the long drunkalogs, the cigarette smoke, the worse the meeting becomes. When I focus on, hey, this isn't what I signed up for, the worse it becomes. When I go, you know what can I get out of this? But when I try to see what I can add to the meeting rather than what I can get out of it, and when I focus my mind on what's good about it rather than what's wrong with it, the meeting keeps getting better and better. I hope it's getting better and better for each of you. But I'm feeling more and more comfortable as I go along here. And this is really good for me. The next phrase in that paragraph, when I focus on what's good today, I have a good day. When I focus on what's bad, I have a bad day. When I focus on the problem increases. And if I focus on the answer, the answer or the solution increases. I'm not one. In fact, I used to, in addiction, I used to try and positive think my way out of addiction. If the mind can believe it, I can achieve it. Anything I envision in my hand can be achieved. And I think there's some truth to that. But for me, who is an addict of the hopeless variety, all the trying, all the harder work, the more prayers, the more workshops, the more conferences I went to try and develop this magical mind that God's blessed me with to overcome, to become stronger than my addiction, the worse it worked out. But when I embraced, like I mentioned earlier, when I embraced that I'm an addict and I have to take my medicine every day, I'm not going to be able to go to a workshop, a conference, and pay thousands of dollars to have some high paid and really very successful, amazing person tell me how amazing I am, and that I can do anything I set my mind to. There's nothing wrong with that. But for someone like me, I can't do that until I embrace the fact that I am broken. My mind doesn't work like other people's minds. And thank God for that. Because I would not, had I continued to try to just muscle my way through addiction, muscle my way through into recovery with only my own efforts and my own wishes, going back to the step 3 prayer, being a decision, my own wishes, my own resolutions, my own goals. I set millions of goals, resolutions, wishes. I wish I could stop doing this. I am determined this is the last time I will have ever done this. I making oaths and promises and solemn covenants. I will never do that again. And a day later, there I am again. 2 hours later, there I am doing it again. A week later, a month later, whatever it is, because I cannot stay sober on yesterday's spiritual experience, on yesterday's $1,000 seminar that I went to, on yesterday's counseling session with my therapist. I can't stay sober. I can't stay in recovery in those days. I have to refresh the the step 3 commitment, the step 3 covenant, to put a kind of a religious word in there. You know, in the big book, in scripture, in all sorts of places, there are promises everywhere. And I like to see promises as if then things. And I see a hand up, so I'm gonna reach out to that person here in just a minute and let them come in as a panelist here in just a minute and share their experience. But and I can't remember where I was going. I apologize. But when I accept the fact that I am an addict, that I'm powerless over my addiction, my life has become unmanageable. When I accept the fact that there has to be a power greater than myself, and that power is not me. And when I turn my will and my life over to that power, amazing things happen. Acceptance happens, and life moves, not amazingly, but it moves. And I am given sufficient for my needs. I'm given sufficient for my needs. All right. I am going to pause there for a minute, and I'm going to bring Anja in as a panelist and turn a few minutes over to her. I'll ask her a question when she comes in, and then let her share a little bit. Anja, welcome in. If you'd like to come off mute, and if you would like, you can go on camera. If you do come on camera, others can see you. I don't record the video. It's only audio I record. But if you'd like to share a little bit, I'd love to hear a little of your experience, strength, and hope.
Hi, Justin. I'm a bit nervous. I'm just going to say that before I continue on saying anything else.
Awesome.
How exciting to be able to be here as a panelist. And thank you so much for what you just barely shared. My name is Anja, and I am a codependent and a love addict. I have about 6 months sobriety behind me. Yeah, and it feels pretty good. I mean, it's still daily work, you know, and it's not easy, but it is so worth it. So if anybody is listening who is kind of feeling like they need to make a change in their life, if you know the 12 step and you feel like it might be a solution for you that's listening, then I would highly recommend to go along with it, because it has changed my life in so many ways that I never thought was possible. So yeah, really grateful for that.
Thank you so much, Anja. Do you mind staying on for just a second? I'll ask you a question about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you said that you're about 6 months in sobriety. How awesome is that? I'm very happy for you in that. What do you think is the main thing that you have either added or changed in your life that has made it possible for you to come one day at a time to this time about 6 months into your recovery?
Oh, well, practicing step 10, 11, and 12 every day has been crucial for me, I think, in order to get to 6 months sobriety. I feel like when I do a 10-step inventory, I find out what I need to ask God for. Because God is there if we seek him, and he's there for everybody. And if we seek him, we also know what to ask if we've done our 10-step inventory. And then turning my self-centeredness into helping other people has given me, like, oh, I don't know. It's so, I don't think I even can explain it, because I don't really do it for myself. I do it for other people, but I know the hardship that they're in, and just knowing that I can make a difference in somebody's life and give this amazing gift that I have been given through the 12-step program, giving them that freedom and joy is and peace. It's amazing.
Thank you for sharing that, Anja. One more question for you. How quick did your sponsor get you into working your steps 10, 11, and 12? Did it take months, or did your sponsor say, hey, jump right in and start on this? How did that work for you?
No, so my sponsor, we didn't do 10-step inventories until I was at step 10. So I think that answers your question, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. One thing that thank you, Anja. Thank you very much. Did you have anything else you want to share, or do you want to go back to being an attendee?
Well, there was something that I wanted to
Have at it.
share. Thank you. This was something that happened at work a few days ago, and it was, because I listen a lot to you, to Reco12, and I listen to you and Nikki noodling it out, and you talked about see where religious people are right a while back. Um, and I know Nikki has been on your show not that long ago and talked about that, I think. Yeah. And so I have this Muslim woman at work, and it took some guts for me to talk to her, because I was, being a codependent, I'm worried about what she might think or feel if I ask her questions about her religion, you know. But so I did, and it turned out it was a great conversation. And I told her about how I practice my faith with the morning routine, the morning quiet time. And she talked about that. Oh, that she was like, oh, it's very similar to what we do. And and it felt really nice, because it felt in a way that it was a way that I could be of service that I hadn't thought about before. That it felt like I was doing her a service, because we felt a sense of connection through that, having that conversation. So, and it was very powerful, because this is connected to what you were talking about before, admitting that I'm an addict, and I don't, because I told her I do the 12-step program, and I cannot trust myself, my self-will. Like, I'm not like other people. And it's one thing to say that, to myself and admit that to myself, but saying that to her, and I did feel safe doing that. I didn't feel like I was unsafe, if you know what I mean. And it was just really nice to say that I'm not like other people. I need God in my life. And I need to practice these things that I do with the program in order to live a life that's worth living.
Mm. Anja, thank you so much for sharing those things. One, I mean, you mentioned you're a codependent and you had a lot of fear and hesitancy to jump in here, and I'm sure to have that same conversation with that woman from work. God is doing for you what you could not do for yourself. This courage that is jumping out through you is amazing. Thank you for being courageous and willing to jump in here and share those things and talk about the experiences you're having and carrying this message in all our affairs. Love it, Anja. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to put you back as an attendee, and then I've got another question that came in, and if anybody else wants to share something like this, please raise your hand, and we'll get there. We've got about 20, 25 minutes left of this. Thank you, Anja. You did amazing. All right. Question that came in from our live audience. This is from an anonymous attendee. They said, I love how you have accepted the situation and let higher power guide you to sharing in this meeting. Thank you for practically demonstrating acceptance. My question is, I like how you showed that step 3 shifts me from me to those. Can you talk a little bit about how that shift to thinking of others links through to steps 4 and 5? Are those steps about me or about those? I'm asking as a sponsor and how to guide sponsees. Thank you. And thank you so much for that question. And just this morning, I had a call with a sponsee that I'm walking into step 4 right now. And we talked about this, and I love this concept. Step 4 reads, and I'm just going to read what step 4 says. And I just had it opened and then I closed it, and I want to read it word for word. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I've done, 6 or 7 inventories as I've gone through recovery over the last 10 years. And almost all of those, all but 2 of those have been focusing on the action, focusing on, I had these negative emotions, I had these resentments, and I'm focusing on the resentment. I'm focusing on the fear. I'm focusing on the harms that I've done, whether they be harms or sexual harms, whatever they may be. I'm focusing on the action or the fear itself. But that's not what it says. It says, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. It's a moral inventory. It's why did I do what I did? What made me think that I should do those things? What made me think that I should have that fear? What made me think that I could hurt that person or have those feelings about that person? And if I didn't think, what made me think I could do it? What actually drove me to do that? What character defects did I have? And that's one thing that I'm really focusing on with this sponsee that I'm working with right now, is I'm not focusing on the action itself that I did, on the emotion itself that I had. It's on the character defects that led me to do those things. Now, I'm not denying that I did those things. I'm still putting a light on it. I'm still identifying them. I'm still identifying, hey, was it selfishness? Was it, well, I don't have my stuff here. It's on my shelf again. I should have it here, but it's not about the actions that I took. It's about why I did it, and about changing those defects into godly principles, actions for others. What can I change? A couple of my biggest character defects are avoidance, procrastination, laziness, manipulation. So I try and manipulate people and the situation to accompany, to do what I want it to do. And what are the godly principles that I can apply to do that? Well, with procrastinations, it's action, it's zeal, it's getting to work, it's doing the next right thing right now. And is that for doing it for me? No, it's doing it for others. If I'm lazy, the same thing, action, connection with others. If I am manipulating, I never manipulate myself. I'm manipulating others to do what I want. What I need to do is be willing to say, you know what, Justin, I don't really want to do this right now, but in order to be of service to others and to do what I think my higher power wants me to do, I need to manipulate myself to do something I don't really want to do, because it will be for the benefit of others. And it's really easy for me also to say, you know what, when I benefit others, it's like paying into an insurance policy so that sometime in the future when I need something, it's going to come back to me. And sometimes I struggle with that thought, that it's still selfish. But I don't think it is. I think there's some real stuff to that. And I just had a hand come up. Oh, I think I lost the hand. All right. I won't won't jump there. But there was something that Anja said that I want to jump to, and another hand came up, and I'll get that to that person here in just a second. Anja said something that step 10, 11, 12. Step 10 is watching. I need to watch for selfishness, self-centeredness, fear, anger, whatever it is. I watch for those things. And then I ask God, there's step 11. What do I need to do, God? I give this up. What do you want me to do? And step 12 is getting to action. Watch, pray, act. And without the action, the watching and praying doesn't do me a lot of good. I need to get into action. All right. I am going to promote Ella to panelist and have her share a little bit here. Thank you, Ella. She'll be on in just a second. Ella, welcome to Reco12. Please, share with us a little bit. Hey, awesome. Go ahead.
Thanks. So I wasn't sure you could hear me because I had something going on with my audio. All right. Hi. So I am Ella, and I'm a recovered addict from sex and love addiction and also alcoholism. I'm still recovering in codependency, and I love the shares today. I want to comment on what really stood out from your share, Justin. It was that what you said about those I can help. And I just had this experience yesterday that was like amazing, because I realized I wasn't looking to help, because as a codependent, I want to fix and do things, and it's all about me, because I want to like relieve myself from my guilt or what. I don't even know, like I don't even understand where it's coming from. But I've really relaxed on that, because I've been understanding how I don't need to like do much. I just have to be connected with my higher power all the time. When I'm not like with other fellows, I don't have to be like trying to fix or do anything. It's not up to me. And I finally feel like I'm living it. So it was a great experience yesterday that I was riding my bike home, and this guy was in front of me on his bike, and he turns around and looks at me and says, "Hi," and smiles. And I'm like, "Hi." And then we keep riding, and a few blocks later, he turns and smiles again. And then I turn to the right to get to my street. And I said, "Bye." And I park my bike, and he all of a sudden appears, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like this guy is like chasing me." And like, that would be the first thing I would think before. And I'd be like, "Oh, no." And he said, "Hey, you want to grab a coffee?" And I just had a clear yes from higher power. It said, "Yes, you're not here for anything. Like, you're not there yet to be dating. And this is not a date. This is nothing. This is just like meeting someone who's nice and kind, and you can be helpful." And it was amazing, because I sat down with him and we talked about religions. I also loved Anja's share about like, see where religious people are right. Because I am now reading a book about two religious people speaking about sex, which I will be really inclined to share about when I would love to share to participate here in Reco12. And when I reach my 12 months, I'm 9 months right now. So I'm still working on like learning more, because I want to be like 1 year recovered. And the thing is, and we were sitting there and having the coffee, and after a while, he got to share with me that he was not feeling good about his alcohol. And I said, "Well, there's a solution." And it was amazing. He was like, "Oh, can you share? Can I see what you do?" And I said, "Yeah, we have a guide, and this is what I did. I shared my experience." And he said, "This is the reason for which I met you." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly." And I didn't have to do much. I was just like being available. And it felt great. It felt great that I'm not pushing or like doing anything that's not really needed. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today. And thank you for letting me share.
What a beautiful experience. Thank you, Ella, for sharing that with us. And I'd love to have you on as a future guest. Yeah, in a few months, let me know, and we'll get that scheduled. I like your the way you're going about it. In this practicing of this and going about it, and you just shared an amazing experience about that. How has that grown and developed over the last 9 months that you've been, in recovery, and maybe longer in the rooms of recovery? How would have that gone down differently in the past? if you don't mind sharing.
Oh no, of course. This fellow even asked me like what would happen before, because I explained my whole like addiction, how it's all intertwined. And I said, yeah, before I was afraid to even say, yes, let's have this coffee, because I was afraid of my reactions and my wanting to like crave your attention and be like the center of the world and manipulate and get your like you're craving, like I get you to crave me. That's what I wanted normally whenever I met a person, that there was like this whole fantasy also of like, oh, this is like and this is how we meet, and it was in a bike, and no, and this was like, no, I'm sure that I'm not in this place yet to like, I have a plan. I never used to have a plan. I have a plan of like, and I'm learning about sex addiction and love addiction, and learning that how wrong I've been going about it. So it's like I'm connected to my higher power, and I could be of help, and it was great.
Love it, Ella. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to share before I put you back as an attendee?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for being willing to do this. What a beautiful thing. I am loving this experience for let's see. I need to get you back. Sorry. Well. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's not very often that I move a panelist to an attendee, so it took me a minute. All right. Practicing acceptance here, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I love the concept there of, I go from wanting to be the center of attention, and there's another one of my character defects is I want the spotlight. And that's one of the reasons why, how do I say this? That's one of the reasons why I do these podcasts, is because I crave the spotlight. I crave some sort of notoriety. But what I have learned in this process is something really powerful for me. And that power is that in those character defects, at the root of them is a strength, is a talent that my higher power blessed me with from the beginning, that can be used for the benefit of others. For me, craving the spotlight, wanting to be the center of attention, wanting to be able to communicate in a way that people, well, that I can manipulate people, that people follow me. The strength in that is that I have a voice. I'm not afraid to stand up in front of people and say, hey, here is what has worked for me. And being willing to share that and say it in a way that hopefully has some sort of effect, some sort of, and I also have the manipulator inside of me. I manipulate people through asking questions. That's how I do it. But the interviewer in me, I can ask questions that bring out vulnerability to help others. And these strengths, I try not to say them in arrogance or anything, but God is amazing. He does some really cool things. Now, am I the greatest interviewer? No. Am I the best voice in the world? No. But I have a voice, and I have a role that my God has put me in to do this. And I am so grateful for that. It's not about me. It's not about me. Now, it can very easily, I can say, oh, Reco12 is awesome. Look what I'm doing. I'm grateful that I have a lot of people on my team that say, Justin, you are an instrument in God's hands. You're nothing more than a shovel. You're a great shovel, but you're a shovel that can't dig on your own. So anyways, that's something there. We have just a couple of more minutes. I can go into wrap up here, but if somebody is burning to just share something for 3 or 4 minutes that they feel they're being moved to share, we have a couple minutes for that. Look at that, we got a hand. I'm going to promote Kelly. Hang on here, Kelly. I'm going to get you promoted to a panelist and have you share for just a few minutes. All right, here we go. Awesome. Kelly, welcome to Reco12. I'm excited to hear your share on acceptance or anything that you've been moved to share with here for a few minutes. Have at it. Oh, you're on mute. You'll need to come off mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much. And thank you for your service and just modeling acceptance with, pivoting, and how truly we we are not in control of anything but ourselves. And I think one of the things that has really been standing out a lot to me, and I've heard it in a lot of meetings, and just what I think God has really been putting on my heart is in relation to acceptance and surrender. And I hear this often, that surrender is like doing the right thing, trusting God, but letting go of what the outcome will be. So showing up and taking the right action, but completely not doing that in a way that we're trying to manipulate an outcome, but that we're allowing the outcome to be, and then we just take that next step in relation to that. And I think for me, that's just really helped me stay more in the present. It's helped me, it's helped me focus more on the moment and trusting God, and really just, the serenity prayer in a lot of ways too, just accepting what I can and can't control and letting go of the rest. And so to me, it's amazing how just when I think about it, how they're so intertwined. Trust in higher power allows me to surrender and brings me to a place of acceptance, which is really peace. It's really just that peace, that promise of peace that comes when I realize my place. And I think so much ego and humility comes into play with that, really surrendering the ego. And there's a strength that comes with laying it down. And it's just something that I've just been grateful for. And I'm working, or just really trying to embrace that more, because it is not my tendency. I want to try to take it back into my hands, and I often do. And then I just remember I've got to turn it over. And so, yeah, I think that's just something that I've just really wanted to share. And I really just appreciate, again, the meeting and modeling how you never know what's going to happen, but we always have the choice to show up in the right way and to serve others. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for jumping in there. I do have a question for you, if you're willing. You mentioned that it's in laying down something that I was trying to hold and carry and caress and control. Do you have an example of a time when you've laid something down that you didn't think that you thought would go poorly if you laid it down and things worked out in the end? Can you think of an example like that in your own life?
Well, I mean, so many come to mind, but one is really right where I'm at right now. I've been with my job for 19 years. I thought I was going to retire here and however many years ahead. Completely unexpectedly, I just had felt this tug on my heart where I was starting, felt like I was supposed to be moving in another direction to serve other people in a way in this kind of capacity. And I was telling my sister about it. Then I was just like, well, I'm just going to lay it down. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to force, an outcome. I'm just going to let it be. I'm going to acknowledge this is where I'm at right now and see what happens next. I kid you not, like 4 or 5 days later, they announced buyouts at my company, completely unexpected. And that was the hardest decision. I think one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, because this is security, this is stability. This is, what I can expect. Well, I thought what I could expect. This was totally unexpected. And so I really just had to lay down my will and seek God. I did a lot of two-way prayer. I did a lot of wise counsel. And I truly felt that I made the decision for one of the first times I made a decision on my own. I was seeking wise counsel, but it wasn't trying to get the answer that I wanted. It was, this is what I really feel like God is leading me to do, and just kind of walking through that and just embracing that feedback. And it was amazing how many different parts of my life that I look back and reached out to some of these people. And it was just such a common thread. And it was just like this, that it is this time to embrace this. And it was just, so again, I think to answer your question, really just laying down, trying to force this outcome, worrying, should I leave my job? Should I leave my job? It got answered for me. And so I think just taking those things and prayer, and to recovery partners, and looking it through the lens of the steps and the promises. Those promises come true. So I think that would be my most recent example.
How cool is that, Kelly? And I look forward to maybe seeing what you do in the future with this. If you'd like to share that in a future meeting, I'd love to have you there. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you. I'm going to send you to be an attendee, and we'll get wrapped up here. All right. Oh, there it is. That came a lot quicker that time. I saw where I needed to do that. Kelly, thank you again so much. Man, Anja, Ella, Kelly, acceptance is the answer to all of my problems. This was a fantastic experience for me. Thank you for helping make it that. And really cool Reco12 weekly speaker meeting. If you have other questions, and I want to emphasize this right now, what Anja, Ella, and Kelly did today was basically a high intense Reco12 shares. If you felt something in this meeting and you're like, man, I should have said something, go and record a share at this SpeakPipe link that I put in the chat here. It'll be in the show notes of the podcast. Go record a 4-minute share. It does have a 4-minute limit on it. Record a 4-minute share. Put your experience, strength, and hope out there for others to gain from. And as I think that each of these people that shared here today felt, when I share something, I learn something. When I'm in a 12-step room and I hear God's words coming out of my mouth, it's for me as much as it is for anybody else. And once again, as I say, for those I would help, sometimes I'm part of those. Sometimes the person who is helped is me. And thank you so much for that. Yeah, man, I'm just moved. I'm moved. Thank you all. So if you have other questions, if you want to join in the Reco12 community here, we have a WhatsApp community. You can join that by sending an email to reco12pod@gmail.com, reco12pod@gmail.com. Join in that community there, answer questions, ask questions, have discussions, record a share on Reco12 Shares SpeakPipe link there and in the chat and in the show notes. If you've not yet rated and reviewed the podcast or listened to any of the other podcasts, the Noodle It Out with Nikki, the Big Book Roundtable, or the Reco12 Shares, go do it. I think you'll gain something out of it. Now, next Friday, so a week and a half from now, we'll be back on our regular schedule. Our next speaker will be Andrew Bowman, who is the author of the book, Stumbling Towards Wholeness. I'll put a link to that in the show notes of the podcast. But his topic will be Stumbling Towards Wholeness. And it's a take on progress, not perfection. And I'm really looking forward to this. Now, let's launch off into our day. And I'm going to use the prayer that Buddy sent, who is going to be our speaker, because I think it's really good. And here's that prayer. I will be still and know that I am loved. I will be still and know. I will be still. I will be. And I'm going to add a line. I will be for God and for others. There is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back, everybody. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Let's accept the road that it's difficult, but it's beautiful. Work it. You are worth it.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight. Still searching for glimmers of light. Feet still on the ground, I can still be found standing still.
My wings are torn and tattered, but I know I still can fly. I may not soar unfettered, I may not rise too high.
Recorded in the book of life and binded with the seal that I am bowed and broken, I am standing still.
Only God knows where the path of life will yet lead me. I do not even ask to know, I do not need to see.
It is enough to know that I'm loved and not alone. And with those truths, I thankfully march into the unknown. Still standing, I will fight the good fight. Still searching for glimmers of light. Feet still on the ground, I can still be found. Still standing, I will fight the good fight. Still searching